Hello, this is a message for someone who feels like they've hit some kind of glass ceiling in their earning ability, okay? So if this message is for you, I was going to say you feel like you've hit a glass ceiling in your career, but it's a little more complicated than that, because what I'm getting more so is that you've hit a ceiling in your earning potential, if that makes any sense. If this message is for you, you feel like there was a time in your life where possibilities were endless, or you didn't perceive a ceiling to your growth capabilities. You thought you were going to continue to evolve and expand in the direction of growth that you were on indefinitely. And it seemed fairly easy to you at the time, and this might have been like a while ago. A whole phase ago is what I'm getting. So maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, when you were getting going in whatever career path you're in right now, there was a sense, if this message is for you, of limitlessness. Like the sky was the limit, anything was possible, and who knows what you'd be able to accomplish. And you felt again a sense of limitless earning potential, like you were gonna, like there was an open road and you were gonna continually improve and grow indefinitely, okay? And so if this message is for you, you did continue on that path, but it came a point where there was some kind of paradigm shift is what I'm getting. It was you might have perceived it as an external paradigm shift that affected you internally, right? So something that happened in the outside world, outside of you, in either in your industry or the economic landscape at large, you perceived that something external happened that changed the trajectory of your career in your earning potential. It limited your earning potential and it stunted your growth possibilities, okay? So yeah, you very much felt like this was sort of outside of your control in a sort of external circumstance that you probably perceive to affect everyone. Maybe not everyone, but like everyone in your industry, everyone in your position, something like that. You felt like this was not a personal thing to you, okay? So that's what I'm getting. And if this is all resonating, now you've been for a while, I'm getting probably a few years minimum, feeling stuck in your career because it feels like an static position now. Now it doesn't feel like it used to as a limitless potential type path. Now it feels very much as a very defined, very confined career to you, where not much can be done to change things, and you feel like your role is very defined. There's not much coloring outside the lines, and there's not much potential outside of what you've already done and outside of what you already are part of, okay? So if this message is for you, feeling this way has made you feel trapped in your career path, has made you feel limited in your career path. And again, if this is all resonating, you've even gone through periods of questioning whether you should change career paths, learn new skills, possibly go back to school, just sort of reinvent yourself career-wise. This is something that is in the back of your mind, on and off, for the last few years due to feeling stuck. Now, if this has all resonated, the message I'm getting is that this is a glass ceiling that you've hit that is mostly consciousness based, okay? So there might have in fact been an event, an external event that affected this paradigm shift in your life, but what you're getting wrong is you think this is a general thing that affected many people, and you're sort of throwing yourself in the group like that. But in reality, you let this affect you personally in your personal psychology, and that's why it had the effect it had on your life, not because of intrinsically, it wasn't intrinsically the external factor that affected you. It was more so like the way you let it get to you, okay, mentally, that ended up having this effect on you and your career, okay? So what this paradigm shift was is it made you look at yourself, your career, and your abilities differently. And this was in a negative way. It affected your self-concept and your concept of what can be done in this career path in a really negative way, in a really limiting way. It sort of went from a world of opportunities type outlook on your career path to a very few and far between good opportunities type outlook, okay? So as a result, that's what you've been experiencing. And the reason this is all happening to you, I mean, ultimately is so you realize the power of your mind and your perspective, okay? Because it is this mental framework that has truly determined how things turned out for you, not as much as the external circumstance, okay? And I know that might be hard to wrap your mind around, because whatever these external factors are real. It's not like they're not real. So for example, say, I'm just going to use this example, but it could be very different. Say that AI substituted your job, or AI is going to eventually substitute your job. You feel like you think that's the paradigm shift that's changing your perspective in your career. But what has more so been the paradigm shift is you feeling replaceable. You feeling like you don't bring much value to the table. You feeling like you have, what you bring to the table has become less valuable and obsolete. That thought is what has messed with your earning potential, rather than the actual fact that AI exists and AI could replace your job, okay? So the message I'm getting, I don't know why, is that, you know, at one point, not that long ago, years-wise, if we think about the amount of years this happened ago, there was a job that was to draw lines on paper to make line notebooks, and people had to manually do that, okay? When the ink press came out, I forget how it's called, like the chain ink press, like the industrial size ink press, of course those jobs became obsolete, but it doesn't mean those people became worthless and they had no longer any contributions. What it means is that job became obsolete and their expertise became up for interpretation, okay? So that's really what's happened here. You have to reimagine what your skill set can do in the new paradigm. And you can absolutely do that, and maybe you have a lot more value to bring to the table than you realize, but because you've been looking at it from the perspective of you are now replaceable and worthless, you are not seeing how what you've learned and your skill set and your experience gives you an opportunity for new types of jobs in this new paradigm. Possibly jobs that are better for you. Possibly jobs that have more earning potential, actually, is what I'm getting. It's just a matter of perspective on yourself and your skill set in the new world, okay? So if this message is for you, you can change this around very easily by reassessing, again, your true skill set in this new paradigm and looking at yourself differently. More like, instead of, okay, so I used to do this and now AI can do it, you need to think of, well, because I've done this all this time, what kind of job could I have in which I assist AI in doing things better? And how could I market those skills from my AI context? So I hope that was helpful.